Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot and a PMDG 777 beta tester. Welcome to this video on the walkaround of the PMDG Boeing 777. In this video we'll have a look at the full procedure, but I will emphasize on the stuff that you should check for your airplane to be airworthy based on what PMDG modeled in the aircraft's external model. But let's go ahead and start with some general information. So the walkaround follows a standard inspection route in order to ensure that nothing is missed. In general, during the walkaround we check that the surfaces and structures are clear, not damaged, not missing parts, and there are no fluid leaks. The tires are not too worn, not damaged, and there is no tread separation. The gear struts are not fully compressed, the engine inlets and tailpipes are clear, the access panels are secured, the exterior is not damaged and the reversers are stowed. The doors and access panel that are not in use are latched, the probes, vents and static ports are clear and not damaged, the skin area adjacent to the pitot probes and static ports is not wrinkled, the antennas are not damaged and the light lenses are clean and not damaged. Now let's go ahead and start our inspection route. By default we start next to the door to left, and we can start right down here. So what do we see over here? Well, those up here are the negative pressure relief doors, which we must ensure are closed. Then we can move forward and have a look at the static ports, which we must ensure are not obstructed. This is especially important when the airplane has been washed or repainted, making sure that there are no stickers on there, which has led to accidents in the past. Then we can start moving forward along the fuselage and we get to the forward outflow valve. Now the forward outflow valve we ensure has to be open on the ground, and we make sure that the little green oxygen discharge disc is in place and that this is showing green. If this is not green, then an overpressure condition has occurred in the oxygen system and maintenance action is required. From here on, we can move forward to the nose of the airplane itself, making sure that the AOA sensors and the temperature probes and the pitot tube are in place and not damaged. Moving forward, we ensure that there is no damage on the nose cone of the plane and that the forward access door is closed. This leads us right to the nose gear bay doors, which we ensure have not received damage and are not showing any signs of a bird strike. Going forward then, we've got the landing gear doors, which we ensure are undamaged, and in the real plane you would also move them a tiny bit, like just to see that they are correctly in place. The lights are all in good conditions, so you've got the landing lights, the nose landing lights on the top, and then you've got the turn-off lights at the bottom, and we ensure that there is no damage down there. Also have a look at the landing gear actuators to ensure that there is no hydraulic fluid leaking out, and then we're going to have a look at the tires to make sure that there is no damage to any of the tires. And finally we've got the nose gear strut, which we must ensure that there is some of the silver still visible so that it is not completely compressed. From here we can move forward to the other side, again checking that all the sensors and the probes are correctly in place. Whenever you move along a door, also check that the door handle is correctly in place and latched. That is something that does happen occasionally, that the door handle is still slightly out and in a slightly turned position, even though the door itself is actually closed. And that is a prime indicator of something going wrong with the door itself, or at least going to cause an additional fuel flow. Next to that we've got the emergency exit light, which we ensure is undamaged. Moving along the forward cargo door then, if the door is closed we ensure that it is also properly latched, and then we can move on to the back. Again we've got some static ports over here which we must ensure are not obstructed, and the negative pressure relief doors are in the closed position. The wing light lens doesn't show us any signs of damage, and going on to the fuselage, we ensure that there is no kind of damage over here and that the air inlets are in a properly opened position. You can also go ahead and check the beacon light down here, making sure that there is no damage to the beacon, and any of the access doors that we have over here is properly latched. You can see these latches are in two-fold split position, So you've got the part that you can push down here, and then that basically opens the latch, and we want to make sure that these are correctly latched. Then we can move on, make sure that the landing lights are undamaged and in a good condition. The leading edge flap doesn't show us any signs of a bird strike, and then we can move on to the GE90 engine. Now there are several things that we need to check on here. When looking at the side of the engine, something very important is down here. That's the thrust reverser lockout pins, which we must ensure are not installed unless the tech log indicates that the thrust reverser has been deactivated for that engine. Coming up to the front, we've got the leading edge of the engine intake itself, which we must ensure is undamaged. And then we've got the T12 pressure probe up there, which is used for engine internal indications, which we must ensure is undamaged as well. All the acoustic lining that we've got in the front of the engine inlet is undamaged. And this, by the way, is also the reason why you are not allowed to stand inside the engine. You might easily damage the acoustic lining over here. Next up, we take a look at the leading edges of all the fan blades, making sure that there has not been any damage, for example, due to any small rocks that might have been on the runway that might have been ingested in the engine. And also take a little look and try to watch through the blades at anything that is located behind it. You've got the inner part of the engine core over here. Make sure that there are no feathers on there and no sign of damages as well. So moving on to the side of the engine, we have a quick look beneath the engine, making sure that there are no scratch marks over here, so no engine pot strike has occurred on a previous flight. The aft part of the engine is showing no sign of damages, no sign of fires, and generally in a good condition. Now we can move along the leading edge of the wing, ensuring that there is no damage over here, and have a quick look into the fuel tank overpressure vent to make sure that there is nothing blocking it. On the right side of the aircraft, we want to see the green navigation lights, and on the aft part of the wing, we've got the white lights located back here. Ensure that all the static wick dischargers are in place and none are missing, which might indicate a previous lightning strike. Now, if some are missing, the airplane can still fly, but we need to ensure that MEL procedures are met if necessary. We've got the outlet of the fuel dump system over here. Make sure that that is not blocked. And then we can move along the plane and ensure that there is no signs of a bird strikes or any damages. And then we get to the main landing gear. Now, on the main landing gear, we ensure the condition of all the tires. For example, over here you can see a couple of marks already, but nonetheless they are generally showing good conditions. At the main landing gear, we also check the brake wear indicator pins down here, which ensure that the brakes have not been worn out. So when the brakes are wearing down, you see those pins becoming smaller and smaller until eventually they get flushed with the metal down here. When that happens, that is our indication that the brake is worn out and that the brake needs replacement. So, you're flying a wide-body aircraft, that means you've got loads and loads of tires and wheels to check over here, and likewise you've got brake wear indicator pins to check down here as well. Also, have a look at the strut down here, make sure that this is not fully compressed and that there is no hydraulic fluid or any other fluids leaking out. Finally, we have a general look at the gear assembly to ensure that there is no kind of damages, no birds sticking out anywhere, and no fluids leaking. So this leads us towards the back of the aircraft. Once again, we've got the door that we check the handle, check the emergency lights, ensure that the aft cargo compartment doesn't show any damages, and that leads us to the aft part of the aircraft. So we've got the bulk cargo door over here, which we ensure is closed and properly latched, and then we get to the aft door, which we check as well. Now down here we got another two interesting items. The first one is that little probe that we have over here. Now this includes the sensor for the tail strike detection system. If this gets damaged, then your ICAS is going to give you a tail strike warning. Next to that, we've got the tail skid, which is located down here and is optional equipment on the 777. If a tail strike occurs out of a standard position, then this is the point that would make contact with the ground first. So this would be the part that would get damaged first and hopefully, if the tail strike is not too significant, would prevent any damage to occur to the actual fuselage itself. You might be asking yourself why this is looking so interesting. Well, of course this would create a lot of drag to the aircraft, so this gets automatically retracted in flight so that the drag of the airplane is reduced. Going up to the leading edges then, we've got the leading edge of the stabilizer, which we ensure has no damage, and then you've got that little thing sticking out over here. Now this is the camera for the camera system that you have in the cockpit of the 777-300ER. So make sure that there is no damage visible to this. Now some people might be asking, I can hear the APU, but I can't see its air inlet. And that is correct, the air inlet is located on the top of the fuselage right over here. So this is the APU air inlet that you can see right in the front over here. If we are up here already, we can also have a look at the vertical stabilizer and ensure that there is no kind of damages or anything to the stabilizer over here. Of course, in the real world, a little bit harder to get up here. Looking up here already, we also have the lights for the logo light system, and well, this would be up for maintenance to check that they are not damaged up here. Right, let's go back down to Earth, making sure that there is no kind of damages to the tailplane, and that leads us to the APU exhaust on this side of the aircraft. So over here, nothing damaged. The navigation light is showing, the strobe light is showing undamaged as well. So now we basically check the same thing that we checked on the other side, on this side of the airplane. Ensure that the stabilizer is in the correct trim position. So by default you should have it on 4 units after landing, and this is marked by that little marker that you can see down here. Moving further forward then, we've got the aft outflow valve located over here, which needs to be open and undamaged on the ground. And this leads us a little bit forward again. If you're wondering why it is getting so loud when we're getting to this part of the plane, that is because of the air outlets that we've got down here, where all the hot air from our air conditioning system is coming out. So that's what's causing this noise over here. Again, on the landing gear, we check that there is no sign of visible damages. We check that the brake wear indicator pins are showing okay. And remember, this is all modeled by PMDG, so brake wear indicator pins can wear down, the tires can get damaged, so we gotta do a careful check of these systems. Again, everything is showing just about fine over here. So let's continue along the trailing edge of the wing, ensuring that there is no sign of bird strikes, no hydraulic leakages, and generally no damage to the aircraft. Check the fuel dump valve and the overpressure valve, and that leads us to the aft part of the wing, where we check that the white light is working, and then we can move on to the leading edge. Few things that I want to show you. First of all, we're on the left side of the aircraft, so we got to see the red lights over here. And if you will take a close look, you will see that there are 2 bulbs fitted in here, and if any single one of them is inoperative, the airplane is still dispatchable. Only if both of them don't work, that is when maintenance is needed. Nonetheless, you still need to write it down on the papers, and a little bit of paperwork has to follow if a single one of them is damaged. Out here we've got the strobe light, which is undamaged as well. So moving along the leading edge then, you might notice that along the leading edge there are these black holes located in the bottom of the leading edges. Those are air outlets for the wing anti-ice. So when wing anti-ice is used, hot air is pumped into ducts along the forward part of the wing. That basically heats up the leading edges, and this in turn melts any ice that might have mounted on them. Those little black holes in here are the outlets of these leading edges. Moving on to the engine then, again, no sign of damages, no fuel leaks in here, and that leads us to the outer shell of the engine. Thrust reverser pins are out, no scratch damage on the bottom, and the leading edges are looking good, both of the engine itself and of all the fan blades in particular. Finally, the leading edge flap is not damaged, and the landing light is not damaged as well, and the air inlet located over here doesn't show any sign of damages as well. Now, this is a prime area for birds to start nesting. So make sure that there are no birds nesting in there before the APU is started and before air starts to get sucked in over there. Alright, and that concludes the walk around across the Boeing 777. I hope you found this one interesting. Let me know in the comments below. I'm very much looking forward to your feedback. Thank you very much for watching, and all I can say is, if you liked the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And if you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.